On the dot, turn it up, give it all you got. Stories and facts, let it unfold. Strange little truths in the tales we're told. Cat Hobson's on and the air feels alive. Questions in the dark come back to life. UFO lights in the shadowed signs. Paranormal calls through the phone lines. Leaning close, don't look away. Something in the static wants to say, open that door, let the wonder in. Sunday night starts once the signal spins. Fake magazine, radio. Cat Hobson, take me there. Fake magazine, radio. Sunday nights in the air. UFOs and the unexplained. Facts and stories, sweet and strange. Fake magazine, radio. Tune in, tune in. A name on the screen, a knock at the wall. Footsteps fading down the hall. Old reports and a brand new lead. Every caller has a different seed. From www.fatemag.com. Straight to your speakers, then you're gone. 7 p.m. Central Time. One more mystery in your mind. Leaning close, don't look away. Something in the static wants to say, open that door, let the wonder in. Sunday night starts once the signal spins. Fake magazine, radio. Cat Hobson, take me there. Fake magazine, radio. Sunday nights in the air. UFOs and the unexplained. Facts and stories, sweet and strange. Fake magazine, radio. Tune in, tune in. If you ever felt that chill, if you ever heard come still, there's a place for the questions you keep, where the odd and real don't sleep. Fake magazine, radio. Cat Hobson, take me there. Fake magazine, radio. Sunday nights in the air. UFOs and the unexplained. Facts and stories, sweet and strange. Fake magazine, radio. Tune in, tune in. Sunday night, 7 Central. Fake magazine, radio. FakeMag.com.
Hello there. I was trying to figure out what's happening here. So, did you love that? I love that. Carl made that, and it is so brilliant. I'm telling you, there's not a thing this man cannot do. He does his shows. He produces other shows. He is an entrepreneur like nobody's business. He is running a dinner bus, and it is amazing. If you are in the Missouri area, you will probably find him. And if you find that bus, you're going to know it's his because it's the most patriotic bus you're going to see. And they have really good food. So, I am back with Al, and I have been really, as y'all know, I've been really into these files being released. And I posted that I was going to be doing the, release 3 and release 4. They're the same release. I don't know what is going on with that, but it's okay. It's a big government. There's a lot of files, there's a lot of information, and a lot of it is really out there. There's stuff from decades ago that is relevant to what we're talking about. One of the things that I have found really cool is that I found a glitch in the videos, and I questioned it because I just hit Google AI because it didn't make sense to me. And I wanted to know why this had happened. Well, now I cannot access the Department of War UFO files. And that happened in like 10 minutes. Ooh, I moved a lot, didn't I? Sorry. But so I'm really kind of surprised by that because I don't know why I don't know why it says a couple of different things. And I'm really not offensive. I just asked AI, why is this? And it was an interesting conversation with an AI. It was different. And you're going to see some of that because I did screenshots because AI should be honest, right? We control that ostensibly. And so I don't know what was up with that. But we've got stuff from a moon landing. We've got stuff from a craft seen by astronauts that were in space, and they got shots of it, and then they got shots of it imposed on Earth, like it was in orbit around Earth under them. So I thought that was pretty cool. You know, I've always been a sky gazer, and I just love it. You know, I watch cloud formations because I think they're amazing. I like when water and clouds combine to make a beautiful sky. And friends of mine laugh at me, but I always say, I just love it when God shows off, right? It's neat. And what I really love is the fact that this is pretty cool. It's a pretty cool time to be alive and interested in these things. I have known that there was something that wasn't of this earth since I was in going into 7th grade. And I have known that there were spirits around my whole life. But I'm not a medium. I'm, kind of a large now. But it's a very interesting thing because I don't know that people don't treat ufology like the paranormal in a lot of instances because, I have Al back here because I like him. I like him being on my set, whether I'm doing Fate or Paranormal Experience, he's always there. And he used to be blue, and my blue Al had to go back. So now I have a green one. I love my tree of life. I think that's important too because it is what we are part of. It represents humanity to me. And I think that when you start thinking that we've got UFOs in our sky, we have our military admitting that we have UFOs in our sky, it makes humanity a little bit more special. We're special to start with. But to me it's a big deal. And I'm really excited, like I said, to be living in this time zone too. I did not want to be on California time because, oh my gosh, it's such a long day. Not if you get up there, But seriously, I think that what we're seeing is pretty cool. I think that, the The Scientific Coalition on UAP Studies Conference in Toronto has been this weekend. That is an organization that I love and I'm very proud to be part of. And while I have been out of town myself, I'm not in Toronto. I have not been able to go and listen to it on the stream, but I will be going back and listening to the lectures. And I'm going to really miss the sit down and learn from people that are smarter than me aspect, but that's okay. Because if I have a question, I can call somebody and ask. And I have questions now because you're going to love this stuff. I think that I got asked if I could do more UFO files. And so that's what this show is. And as long as they're putting them out there, I'm going to pick them up and run them because that's what Fate was founded on. And I am really dragging a lot and I don't know why. So if you're watching this and I look funny, I apologize. I don't know why that's happening, but we'll figure it out. It's not Carl. I promise you that. It's something with the equipment. But one of the things that I found so interesting was that when I asked my question of the AI, I just simply said, why is this way? Why is this what is being presented? And it said, this didn't happen. And I was like, well, yeah, okay, but yes, it did, because it's right there. And it is in this file, this DOD file, and this did happen. And it came back and said, oh, well, I had to go back and look at that file. No, you had to give me the correct information when I asked for it. Would have been the correct thing to do. That's what AI should do. It should not give me a false answer and then only change it when I can give it a site to go back and look at. That's how that works. Oh, that was weird on my eyes. So, just so you know, that's happening. And I am going to try something to see if I can help this a little bit. I don't know what's wrong with my Wi-Fi. It just seems to be moving weirdly. And then again, I apparently have pissed off the powers that be today. So that might have something to do with it. I don't know. Maybe Al's in a mood. But one of the things that I find so interesting is that it wasn't that big a deal, the question that I asked. There was a, and you'll see it, I'll show it to you in just a minute. But as I was reading through a file, I came across something that had gone on in a debriefing from people who had been on the moon. And it did not coincide with what was written. So I said, why does this not say that there was this debrief? And apparently that was not something it was comfortable with. So there's that. But I'm so sorry. I'm trying to fix this technical issue, and I don't know exactly what the deal is. Let's see what it says down here. Well, I have completely locked up. Don't go away. I'm not going to stop. I don't know why I am just completely locking up. But we'll find out. Let's see what happens here.
What browser are you using? StreamYard on?
I'm in my Windows browser. I don't have anything else open.
Right.
This is all I have.
What browser are you using? Chrome?
I am using Chrome.
Yeah. That's your problem.
It's what I always use.
I know. But since you started doing
And I
the
don't
AI,
usually have this problem. I believe there might be a problem.
try going out and coming back in, Kat, and see if that does.
I will do that. I'll be right back.
She'll be right
Bear
back,
with me.
folks. We'll put
I
this
will.
back up.
You ready? Have you heard anything else? Okay. Yeah. You ready? Have you heard anything else? Okay. Yeah. Who are the men that people see at the top of the stairs? It was doing that before I turned my phone on off of airplane though. It was doing that before I turned my phone on off of airplane though.
Kat is having technical issues right now. She'll be back in a short time here, so everybody stay tuned.
Sunday night, Sunday night, 7 on the dot. Turn it up, give it all you got. Stories and facts, let it unfold. Strange little truths in the tales we're told. Cat Hobson's on, and the air feels alive. Questions in the dark come back to life. UFO lights and the shadowed signs. Paranormal calls through the phone lines. Leaning close, don't look away. Something in the static wants to say, open that door, let the wonder in. Sunday night starts once the signal spins. Fake magazine, radio, Cat Hobson, take me there. Fake magazine, radio, Sunday nights in the air. UFOs and the unexplained, facts and stories, sweet and strange. Fake magazine, radio, tune in.
And I'm back. And I'm back. So I can see now. But we'll see if this works better because I'm using a different browser. And I have no problems with that as long as it works. But again, as I said, I have had some issues with being able to access websites because I was so audacious as to confront Google AI. That was fun. But we'll see. Because I wasn't trying to be difficult. I just wanted to know why it didn't tell me the truth. And that was a whole little AI conversation. So, but anyway, thank you so much for your patience. I'm so glad to be here. If you were trying to follow my head motions and stuff, hopefully they're better and I'm not like an acid trip. But not that I would speak from experience on that. I've seen them on TV. But I just wanted to, I've been so into this. Ufology is as big of a passion for me as ghost hunting, and I love both. I love anomalous things. I love creatures. There's so much out there and so much that we have yet to learn. But this, spirits, and you can believe in them, you cannot believe in them, that's all well and good. But we are having documented UFO experiences. Our military is releasing the information. I believe that this information is being released because we are going to be having first contact, to use a Star Trek theme. But I do believe that we've already had them around the White House, and that was way back in the day. When Google it, it's so cool. But let me see what year that was. But the whole thing was something that has happened. We had the Battle of LA, right? It's just, let's see, when did the UFO show up at the White House? 1952 Washington, D.C. UFO incident. From July 12th to 29th, 1952, a series of unidentified flying object sightings were reported in Washington, D.C., and later became known as the Washington Flap, the Washington National Airport sightings, or the invasion of Washington. The most publicized sightings took place on consecutive weekends, July 18th and 19th, and July 26th and 27th. UFO historian Curtis Peebles called the incident the climax of the 1952 UFO flap. Never before or after did Project Blue Book and the Air Force undergo such a tidal wave of UFO reports. This became one of the most known sightings ever. And I mean, it was just weird, right? Because it was something, people are always like, oh, well, I'll believe it when I see, UFOs over the White House. Well, they've been there, done that. They're not going to do it again just to keep us happy. They're going to show up somewhere else. But, but it was like during a 6-month period in 1952, 148 of the nation's leading newspapers carried a total of over 16,000 items about UFOs, about flying saucers. And, Look magazine in June of that year featured a story where astrophysicist Donald Howard Menzel, look him up, smart dude, proposed flying saucers were optical mirages created by temperature inversions. Well, American papers covered similar statements from French astronomer Ernest Esclangon, I cannot say that, who debunked the flying saucer reports by explaining they could not be supersonic craft because no sonic booms were reported. Apparently, they were a little bit cooler even back then, right? So on April 7th, Life magazine had Marilyn Monroe on the cover. She was so cool. Published a flying saucer article under the title, Have We Visitors from Space? Becoming the most reputable outlet to seriously consider the possibility that flying saucer reports might be caused by extraterrestrial spaceships. Publicity surrounding that piece is believed to have contributed to the subsequent wave of reports that summer. Not that there could have actually been a wave of UFO reports, right? And it's just, that's the whole purpose of Fate Magazine. That's the whole reason Fate Magazine exists, is because of the Kenneth Arnold story. And what was so cool about that was that this dude was just flying home, right? He was an aviator in his plane going home and saw 6 disc craft, 7, fly under him. And he didn't know what they were, but he reported it because he was a conscientious pilot. And if something's flying, and especially in that period, right, then the authorities need to know. Because if you're a knowledgeable aviator and you see something that you don't know what it is flying in your area, and you're close to a coastline especially, what if it was an enemy craft? I mean, that's not an unrealistic concern. Look at what the kamikazes did at Pearl Harbor, right? I mean, bad guys exist, and sometimes they can make really bizarre weaponry. And so that was a real threat. And I think that had a lot to do with how immediate his reaction was. And I don't know why or how, but I don't know why people have such a hard time with this. It's not a surprise, right? It's not something that we haven't seen over time. And it's just the way it is. I've seen them in the air. And I saw them in the air when I was in the 7th grade, going into the 7th grade. It's just one of those things that, it's just so weird that people fight this. We have had them everywhere. They show up around our nuclear facilities. They show up. They've been everywhere. And not just our country. I mean, this is a global phenomenon. And if you don't believe me, look at some of the shows that I've done, this year. I've done a lot of UFO stuff. And it's so amazing to me. We have military talking about it. We have physicists talking about it. My first person to ever have a show about UFOs was Stanton Friedman, who is he was a nuclear physicist. He was brilliant. He was one of the biggest names in ufology. And Andy was my friend. But if I had a question, that's who I could go to. And he and his writing partner, Kathleen Martin, have written so many books about the history of UFOs. Go check them out. They're really good. They're big. You're going to get your money's worth with these books. I'm telling you, you won't run out of knowledge or things to read. But it's really something that, I went to, where was that? UFO Congress in Phoenix. And, I did not know for the longest time that there had been an experience in Biloxi, Mississippi. Pascagoula, really. The experience was in Pascagoula. The man was in Biloxi. But it was such a bizarre thing because they had gone fishing. They skipped out of work and went fishing. And lo and behold, don't do wrong because things happen. They were out, on the river fishing. They were on the side of the river. And a UFO showed up. And it was blue when it was flying. I talked to somebody else. I was speaking at a conference in Orange Beach. And a woman came up to me after I had shared the experience of my friend and some other stuff. And she said, I saw that. She was an older woman. She said, I saw that UFO. And that's a true story. What happened to them really happened because, amazingly enough, my friend decided that he wanted to go to the police, and his friend was like, nope, I don't think so. We're not going to go and tell people that we were, taken onto a spacecraft. And they did. And the police had a recording device in their, interrogation room, I guess, under the table, and picked up their whole conversation. And they, it was terrible. The whole experience was just a nightmare. I can't even imagine what they were going through. Let's see, what is the name of his book? Because I'm going to tell you, it was something else. The Pascagoula incident. And Philip Mantle is who published their book, but where is that? I'm sorry. I have old eyes. Oh, no, I don't really want to play that. But I don't see who did the docuseries. But anyway, Calvin Parker was my friend, but his friend, Charlie, I was trying to find Hickson. Charlie Hickson, Calvin just wanted to go away. He did not want to deal with this. His beautiful wife, Juanette, was just so supportive of him. And when he came forward, another friend of mine in England, Philip Mantle, who was a brilliant publisher and really involved in these topics, did all of the stuff. I mean, he got the book published, he got the media, he got in touch with me, and I interviewed Calvin. Charlie had passed away, but I met Calvin in Phoenix, and I met a bunch of people who were experiencers in Phoenix. But Calvin and Juanette talked like me, and we became friends over, several meals together. And they were the only people there who sounded like me, and the same for them. But it was so interesting because I did not know this had happened in Pascagoula, and it was a really scary experience. I mean, these are the only that I know of, the only experiencers that described their abductors as they were like the Michelin Men with claws instead of hands. And it was very odd. But Calvin stuck to that. I will never doubt that he was telling the truth about that experience. So there's a wide variety of craft, because this one kind of looked like an egg and opened like a hatch, like, instead of like Star Trek where they go that way. But it was so interesting. And there's so many different types of experiencers. There's I cannot remember her last name, a woman in, I think it's Missouri, but I'm not sure. But her dad, and she was older when I met her, her dad had been a minister. There was a crash and the police came to get him because the people in this craft, beings in this craft, were not going to survive and did not survive. And he went to help, kind of a last rites thing, because they didn't know who or what these were. But people believe that you should always take care of that kind of situation. A lot of people do. And so they did. And they went to take care of making sure that these people had a proper passing. And so this woman was young and small and still remembered it so clearly. And she was one of the nicest women I've ever met. But good parents, I guess, right? So, this stuff has gone on for centuries. Hell, Ezekiel left in a flaming chariot that spun away, right? So it's been throughout time, and yet we're so shocked that this is happening here. And I just think that it's a travesty of justice that it's taken this long to get any kind of information. We've, 1952, and our White House is being inundated by craft around it. Everybody's like, oh, well, believe it when I see them on the White House lawn. Well, yeah, you had that opportunity at one point. Your parents did, or your grandparents did. And, now we've got another opportunity because we're seeing files that show what's happening. And I know that these DoD files, as a rule, are showing, little dots of light zipping around everywhere because that's how they appear on the camera. I'm not seeing any definition really in these pictures. Are you? The videos are very, there's a lot of them. And these are just the ones they've released that weren't over classified areas or didn't have footage that would make us wig out if we saw it, as a rule. I do think they're being filtered so that we don't see anything alarming whatsoever. A lot of people are just alarmed that there's anything to see, or they're making fun of it because they're just dots. Just, whited dots. But I think they're smart as all get out. I think they've got a better grasp on physics and mathematics than we do. Look at what they can do. The aerodynamics of these craft are amazing. The fact that they just show up and do what they want to do and head out. I mean, they're just yanking the chain on these pilots. And our pilots are excellent. We have the best pilots in the world. And these are our pilots. Have you ever seen a Blue Angel fly? I mean, hello. One of them got in trouble this weekend, but that's, he just went a little low and a whole lot fast. And some people just can't take a joke, right? I'm kidding. He shouldn't have done it. He got grounded for a day, but that's okay. You should have seen those umbrellas and stuff fly, though. It was a lot of fun. I just think that we got to accept this. I mean, the odds of you meeting ET in your lifetime have jumped up high. And if you haven't already, how do you feel about that? Are you scared? Are you excited? It's just really wild. And I do have some things that I'm going to share. And I do want to tell you that one of the things that I saw, and I put it in my files to share. This is so cool because astronauts took a picture, 3 pictures of a craft that they saw. And it's a deltoid. It's a triangle. It's actually really skinny, skinnier than I thought it would be. And it's so interesting because, let's see if these came over here. Let's see what I've got. What do I have? Okay, those are all my debriefs. This is going to be, yes, okay. That's the third image. This is image 1. This was taken by astronauts. And it's a NASA file, UAP DO30 STS-80 unidentified object image. This is from 1996. And I love this because I always thought triangles, why are they triangles? That's a triangle. This is taken out of a spacecraft. That object is a near Earth image. Okay. So it's right here, little white dot, as it were. And that is pretty good because there's not supposed to be anything else flying up there besides the craft they're taking the picture out of. Right? So then I'm going to pull up number 2 if you're ready. Y'all ready? Let's go for it. This is it a little bit closer to Earth, and you can see more of the shape, right? Can you imagine being in space? You're in your craft. You're looking at your home planet thinking, oh my God, look at that view. That's so brilliant and beautiful. What is that? Right? I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. I don't even know what to think. There it is. And this next image is really, I think this, I had a hard time seeing this. When you look, you're going to be able to, okay? This was taken by our astronauts. This is a NASA image. And it is the craft. Carl, can they see my pointer? They can't see my pointer? Well, this is like where the part is poking up. This is of the craft. So it's up against Earth. And it's about, if you look at the edge of Earth, it's about a little nth degree in. But you can see that triangle against the Earth. And it was so bizarre to me because I'm sure that they were sitting there thinking, well, what if that lands? You know, what if that actually lands on our planet? And we go home and people have an alien on the planet. What if it crashes? What's going to happen? And it looks like a shadow. There's a little small triangle shadow on the Earth near the bottom of the curvature there. And when I mean, it really is, and it's kind of pointing up. You can zoom that picture in and see it. I'll put it on my Facebook too if you want me to. But you know, that to me, I don't know what I would be thinking about that. I mean, there it is. That's the triangle. That's the deltoid right there. And the shadow of it on Earth is, yeah, it's happening. So I don't know what they thought of that. You know, and it's dark like a shadow, just a little shadow. I wish I could zoom this up so y'all could see it. I don't even know what. I mean, it's hard to see unless it's full screen on your computer. Mine is not full screen, and Carl's is not full screen. So Carl's trying to see it. So if you're full screen, you should be able to see it. But you know, to me, that is just the coolest because these people, they're so brave. So brave. Now, I don't know if you've seen these images, and like I said, I was so bent out of shape because the not DOD, DOW, Department of War, their website has these images, and I have been really blown away by some of the ones that we've had, but this was over China, okay, and I think it's over this Yellow Sea. It's a 15-second video, but we saw that one that looked like cathedrals, like a cathedral before in the original ones, but there are not a 3 and 4 UFO file release. They are the same release. So, but this, look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? I mean, I think it's gorgeous. Or you could say it looks like a spider. That would not be nearly as gorgeous. But I just think that's so pretty. I just love it. And look at the definition there in the center. I mean, well, fiddlesticks. I don't know how to pause that, Carl. But I don't know what I think of that. What do you think of that? Feel free and chat. I mean, get in there and knock yourself out because I am so enthused about this. I think it's a wonderful thing. And if they all look like that, they've got great designers. Rumor is there's a top secret military that the Black Knight is absolutely a very popular trending story for years. And the Black Knight is actually something that I don't know what I think about. I would like to think that we've had something in the air that long. But if we do have it, is it a defensive satellite? I mean, I don't know. I just think that it's really cool. I love all of this stuff. I am such a geek for it. But what do you think? Have you seen the imagery of the Dark Knight? I mean, it's let's see if I can find something to put up. Da-da-da-da. Let's see. Maybe we'll pull that. Y'all don't mind if I look for it, do you? Images of the Dark Knight. Oh, that's Batman. I should be more specific. And now, I do not know where this conspiracy theory originated, but according to some UFO conspiracists, the Black Knight is an artificial satellite of extraterrestrial origin, not ours, that has orbited Earth for approximately 13,000 years. The satellite story is most likely a conflation of several disconnected stories about various objects and their interpretations, all of them well documented independently, and none of them using the term Black Knight upon their first publication. And according to Senior Education Support Officer Martina Redpath of Armagh Planetarium in Northern Ireland. So it's really, this isn't a, let me see if I can download this. This is, Carl, if I give them credit, can I download something and use it? I can. Y'all bear with me. I'm going to see if I can get this. Oh, now it's up. Carl, if I put an embed code in, will that work? Where do I put it? Comments? No. Comments? Where would I put that?
What are you trying to put up?
I'm trying to embed a video. I have an embed code for the Dark Knight.
For people to watch it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Go to comments and copy that embedded deal and put it in there.
Okay. Now, I do not own this video. This is the property of Daily Motion, the unknown files. So, and I'm glad that they put that up there. I appreciate that. But since you brought it up, let's see what happens. Not a lot so far, Carl. It says an error occurred. So, whoa. Let's see. I'm just going to post the link so that this is the link for it. And this is from dailymotion.com. And so it's a beautiful video. And let's see. And I don't see any way to put it in hours. So I do want to give credit to dailymotion.com because this is nice. It says, long before humanity launched anything into space, oh, all right. Well, I don't know if you could hear that. Could you hear that, Carl? Because it was playing through my computer. But it's just really so astonishing to me that A, there's this thing that's supposedly just out there flowing everywhere. And B, from 13,000 years ago, I really don't think that, I mean, there's not any way that that was something that people could see. It's black, right? But it is so cool and so neat, and it's got such a good vibe story. And it's a little freaky. Freaky is fun, right? So, I mean, that's why I do what I do. I mean, I've been here for, yeah, 10 years. So here for 5, but doing, freaky, cool stuff. And I just think that it really is pretty neat. And I can't get this image to work appropriately, but it looks kind of like a rhinoceros horn. And it says these are all these facts about it, but it's mainly a mysterious object in near polar orbit around Earth. And it's a mix of historical observations, misidentified space debris, conspiracy theories. It's goes back to multiple unrelated events. Tesla reported it in 1899, or detected unusual rhythmic radio signals, which he thought were extraterrestrial in origin. In 1928, a Norwegian engineer, Jørgen Haas, observed long-delayed radio echoes, later explained by science as pulsars and ionospheric reflections. In 1954, UFO researcher Donald Kehoe claimed the U.S. Air Force detected 2 satellites orbiting on Earth. That no country had the technology to launch satellites at the time. In 1957, an unknown object was reportedly seen shadowing Sputnik 1, allegedly in the polar orbit, which was unusual because polar orbiting satellites were not launched until 1960. American amateur astronomer Stephen Slayton claimed in 1958 to have observed a dark spherical object near the moon, estimating the difference about 1,000 kilometers in length, around 10 meters. 1957, Dr. Luis Corrales photographed an unidentified object while observing Sputnik 2 over Caracas. So the object has been reported to transmit radio signals for over 50 years, according to conspiracy sources. I will tell you that I have spoken with Seth Shostak, who is the dude over SETI. He's brilliant. He is funny. He's a lot of fun. And he is also adamant that he has never once heard anything unexpected from space. And he said that he would come on and talk to me, and I'm like, well, this is a great, you know what? You need to message me on Facebook and let me know you, okay? But always in timeout, which I can absolutely relate to that name, said, not to dive deeper down the rabbit hole, but 13,000 years ago was a time of drastic cold snaps that killed off most of the megafauna in North America. It was called the Younger Dryas extinction. Good point. So, are they correlated? What can we expect if we are making contact with whoever is floating around us, right? You gotta be careful what you ask for. You really do. But, I just think that I would love to see something that was, something that would be considered real. I have seen one. I have had something fly by my gazebo when I was outside. It is absolutely freaky when you see it. And I was on the phone with somebody, And I absolutely said, don't hang up. I don't want a lost time incident. Um, but it was, and I reported it. I could not get through. And I'm going to tell you that MUFON's reporting system does not always happen. Okay. It doesn't always work. And I've had two separate incidents that I tried to report and they didn't go through. So what did I do? I called their director of investigations and said, this just happened to me. There was something basically in my backyard. We have a retaining wall and the gazebo is up, you know, we're higher than our neighbor, and it just went by. And I am not one, I would have thought I was dreaming. I really would have thought I was dreaming. And it was in a cloud. It was a greenish cloud that was, and I live in Alabama, we get tornadoes, but it was a clear day. And then there's this green cloud and it's coming by. And I thought, holy crap, holy crap. And I told the person I was on the phone with not to hang up. And when it came out of the cloud, there was like it looked like a pie plate, basically. And I'm like, oh, come on, I must be asleep. And it pulled out of the cloud enough to see where there should have been windows, and there weren't. And then the cloud just kind of caught up with it and went on across the street over the mountain, and that was it. And I was reporting that baby. I sure was. So I called my friend that was over that, and he was like, well, you need to report that. I said, I have tried to. Your system doesn't work. So you can find a phone number for MUFON. If you have an experience and you cannot get it up on their website, call them. And, seriously, if you have an experience, report it, because the documentation is important. We want all of this information out there. And, I report fireballs when I see them, because you report anything that you see unusual in your sky. I really thought that I was going to be ridiculed, but the first thing I saw was in 7th grade. And it was a black craft in the air. It wasn't making any noise. It wasn't really moving much until it did. And I was with a bunch of Green Beret Airborne Division dads sitting around the backyard grilling out after they had jumped. And they, jump practice. And they took, oh, that's a helicopter. No, it's not. I've been looking at one all day and there's no noise. And so I might have been precocious for 7th grade. But if you have an experience, don't be embarrassed to report it, okay? If you're calling MUFON, if you're calling any of the other organizations, and there are more than one, then do that, because if it trips you out, you can get support, okay? If it doesn't trip you out and you think it's just a cool experience and you want to have other, if you need to talk to an experiencer group or a counselor, because it can be very intimidating, then they offer resources for that. You don't have to be feeling like you're losing your mind. A lot of people feel like that. It's kind of a normal feeling. I mean, you get, hi, I'm calling to report a UFO. Yeah. Some people have a problem with that. And that's okay, because that's their problem. If you have an experience, it's okay to say, I just saw this and I don't know what to do with it. So, but there's a lot of good people at MUFON. There's a lot of people that are just jerks. That's everywhere, right? I think that they're really great at helping experiencers. If you have an experience beyond seeing something, you need to talk to somebody that's not going to put you in a straitjacket right off the bat and say, oh, well, obviously you need to be medicated or whatever. there's a lot of people that I've talked to who got very bizarre experiences, who are very credible people. I mean, they're very credible people. They're professionals, they're, you know, craftsmen, they're stay-at-home moms, they're it happens to a lot of people. And I know that we're not probably supposed to say that. There's experiencers. And if you are one, you can talk to people that are also and get help with that. Because, you know, we are looking right now, we are looking at multiple experiences with multiple astronauts, with multiple of our craft, and seeing different kinds of craft around them. I don't know if anybody's really seen the Black Knight. The Dark Knight is really pretty cool if they have. But if it's been around since 13, I mean, who knows? I mean, there are no records, really. There's certainly no photography. And I don't know. It's a great kind of neat thought, but I don't really know what to do with that. But it is interesting because it's the most famous one. This, you know, ostensibly in orbit around us. I think it's probably going to be more like Oumuamua, which just kind of passed through, and perhaps generations from now it'll pass back. So we'll find out. And I got in so much trouble because when that was coming through, I believe, you know, people that have PhDs and a lot more knowledge than me and who work a lot with UFOs and everything else. And some of the most famous people in the field were saying that that was not a comet. Well, turns out probably it was, but good grief, how far was it going to go, right? Sorry, that was me putting something. It went down kind of hard. Now, I want to share some of the stuff that I picked up today. I did well, you'll see. So I went into the Department of War's files. And I can't see that. Okay. Now this was, I cannot read this. The debrief interview. Okay. The Shorty crater on the moon. Okay. Apollo 17's crew were talking about, I'm going to pull this up on my phone because I can't read that. You probably can't read that either. So let's see what we got. I asked Google AI what phenomenon was caught at the Shorty crater on the moon in 1972. And it said, during the Apollo 17 mission, astronauts discovered bright orange soil at Shorty crater on the moon. Here are the specifics. What it is: the soil is made of tiny beads of volcanic glass. How it formed roughly 3.7 billion years ago. An explosive volcanic eruption sent fountains of lava into the lunar vacuum. The lava droplets froze instantly in the air and fell to the surface in tiny, colorful beads. The discovery: astronaut and geologist Harrison Schmitt first spotted the vibrant color while scuffing the gray lunar dust with his boot. The significance of the discovery provided the strongest proof that the moon once had an active explosive volcano, or had active explosive volcanoes, plural. So I thought, well, okay. So, and then I said, and then when they were doing their debrief, where'd I go? Let's take that down. Well, I can't make, there we go. Thanks. But I was sitting there going, well, okay, well, that's not, you know, that's not what I expected. And I was going further in my research. And as I was reading it, the Apollo crew debrief. Oh, my goodness. That is a lot of cat right there. That was big. It said the Apollo 17 crew debrief was stopped per the recording in the released NASA file. I asked, to get to that, I asked this AI program, it's Google AI. I want to know why they had to stop the debrief interview to discuss the Shorty crater phenomenon off camera. And so their reply, NASA never stopped the debrief interview or turned off the camera to secretly discuss the Shorty crater phenomenon. The idea that the Apollo 17 crew went off camera or off record to hide something about the orange soil is a common internet myth and conspiracy theory. The actual records tell a completely transparent story. Everything was recorded, but the live audio from the moonwalk and the subsequent post-flight technical debriefs were fully recorded. You can read the complete, unedited transcripts directly from NASA's public archives, such as the Apollo 11 technical crew debrief and the Apollo 17 crew debrief for science. And I said, because I'm that girl, right? Let's see. Oh, because I'm feisty. Where is it? Good grief. Wouldn't you know? Anyway, I said the Apollo 17 crew debrief was stopped per the recording in the released file NASA UAP DO29 Apollo 17 crew. And AI said, where is that? I cannot believe that. This is frustrating. I guess I'm going to have to read it. I'm sorry. You are completely right about the file name and the fact it is a newly declassified government record. The NASA UAP DO29 Apollo 17 crew medical debriefing continued was officially released by the Pentagon as part of a massive declassification drop of unidentified anomalous phenomenon records. However, the file itself reveals that the interview split and discussion did not happen to cover up the Shorty Crater orange soil. Of course, it did not do it to hide that. The actual contents of the declassified file clarify exactly what occurred. The topic was cosmic rays, not soil. File NASA-UAP-DO28 and NASA-UAP-DO29 are strictly medical debriefings. You believe that? Not geology debriefings. The crew and medical officers specifically stopped to focus on the light flash phenomenon, what they were experiencing while in lunar orbit and on the lunar surface was going on. This was because one of the astronauts, as he was looking down at the moon prior to settling down, saw a light flash on the moon. As they go further into trying to cover up whatever they were trying to cover up, it was what they were describing, what they were experiencing while in lunar orbit and on the lunar surface. 2 of the 3 astronauts reported seeing sudden streaks or flashes of light while closing their eyes in the dark. The scientific explanation: at the time of the 1972 debrief, this was a novel, poorly understood medical anomaly. Today, it is a well-documented biological effect caused by high-energy cosmic rays passing through the spacecraft hull and physically striking the astronauts' retinas. Because it was an unexplained radiation and optical phenomenon at the time, it was classified under anomalous files until its recent public release. And so I was just kind of like, oh, okay, we'll go there. But I wasn't really, because I went to the next question, which would be logical, which is, this is AI, okay? This is AI. This should not be something. My next question: if the recording stoppage was about the light flashes, why are you programmed to say there was no break in recording? That's logical, right? The interruption in the recording was because the physical tape segment ended. The medical brief was a highly exhaustive, multi-hour process that required switching recording tapes. Tape 1 ended exactly where file NASA-UAP-DO28 finishes, and tape 2 picks up as NASA-UAP-DO29. The topic translation: the break in the session allowed the doctors and crew to pivot to a specific separate deep dive on the light flash phenomenon. Because this radiation anomaly was an unresolved mystery to medical staff in 1972, the continued segment was handled with specific protocols and ultimately sealed under classification until the recent Pentagon declassification drop. Thank you for correcting me on the specific declassified record. Would you like me to dig further into what the crew described during segment 2 regarding those light flashes, or examine other NASA files released in this declassification? Well, I'm glad that it appreciated me pointing out that they were lying. And, just so you know, I don't have access to those files anymore as of this evening, because I went to go look at the file that they told me was the follow-up file, and I could not even get in to DOD, or DOW, gov/UFOs. Can't go there right now. So I'm going to be calling the Pentagon in the morning because why not? I got some time. I got some deliveries coming tomorrow. So while I'm waiting on them to get here, I'll just do a little bit of aggravating. But, how weird is that? And why would that be a thing? Because when I asked Google, oh, this one was excellent. I'm sorry, I forgot about this. I said, you're a control program that does as programmed. Who programmed you to say there was no stopping the recording? And it said, I am AI developed by Google. I was not programmed or instructed by anyone to cover up a gap in the Apollo 17 recordings, nor do I have a secret directive to hide information about NASA files. The mistake happened because of how I process information, not because of a program designed to mislead you. My original error. When you first asked about a recording being stopped, I compared your question against a massive database of historical text. That vast majority of standard history books, NASA archives, and articles state that the moonwalk and science debriefs were fully recorded. My system incorrectly assumed that this applied to every single recording from the mission. So, seems a little aggressive with its apology explanation, right? And yes, NASA really likes to communicate. So, why I missed the UAP file. The specific files you mentioned, and I only mentioned one, only one. So, I'm part of a highly specific, recently declassified set of documents released by the government. Because my primary training relies heavily on older, established historical consensus, I failed to properly account for these newly public records in my very first sentence. When you pointed out the exact document numbers, it allowed me to correct my mistake, I bet it did, and acknowledge that a physical break and tape transition did happen during that medical brief. That's the first time it mentioned that. I am a software tool designed to analyze data and assist you. When I give a wrong answer, it is a technical limitation in how I synthesize information, and I appreciate you calling out the specific file so I could get the facts straight. If you like, we can look closer at the text of NASA-UAP-DOT9 itself, or discuss how Google trains AI modes like me to process historical data. Which would you prefer? And I didn't prefer either because I was done. Because that's when I went and looked to see, I was going to go look at that other file and I couldn't access them. So, do I think that that's extreme? Yes. Oh, yes. One of my fears is they'll snatch all these files back. Well, absolutely. But my other fear is that their AI is lying to us, as it did, because I don't buy that. This stuff is too smart. It's too good. I play with it a lot. Not as much as Carl, because Carl is really jam up at getting it to do what he wants it to do. And, I really, when I was reading through the information on that, that experience with this craft, I didn't think it was a big deal because this was public access information now, right? And they didn't say anything in the initial report about these light flashes being something that these people were seeing with their eyes closed. It said one guy saw a light flash on the moon. Not a repeated event, not anything else. As they were approaching the moon to land, he saw a light flash. Not they, he. And excuse me. That was before they walked over to, this crater, and the guy kicked away the moon dust and saw the you know, colored dust. So I don't buy that. And am I a conspiracy theorist? Yeah, I am sometimes when there's a basis for it, not just because everything's a conspiracy. But I mean, there was a reason I asked why it didn't give me accurate information. So there's also a reason I can't access those files anymore. And it's not because I questioned their AI. And I guarantee you that really seems to be a block on this type of media. And so I'm just going to use the AI that I like to use and get more information on that. And if I find something interesting, I'll tell you about it, right? But I am so frustrated because, we are, how long? How long have experiencers been ridiculed? How long have people who are potential starseeds had to kind of tone themselves down? I've seen someone who is beautiful. I mean, she has voluptuous red hair. She's got green eyes that are not like anybody else I've ever seen. She is vivacious. Her skin is very interesting and beautiful, but very different from most people's. And the person that I met happened to be a paraplegic. She was wheelchair bound. And I was just absolutely taken aback because there was and I was actually walking with Linda Moulton Howe at the time through an event, and we both saw her and stopped. And Linda Moulton Howe is not one to be taken aback by anybody. She is so straightforward and to the point, and she has met and seen all kinds of things, and she's brilliant. I am such an appreciator of her doggedness and her research and her ability to get stories out. She is a brilliant journalist and a pretty nice woman too. Really and truly a nice human. And when I saw that she was taken aback, I didn't feel so bad, right? I was pretty amazed. But they are here. They are amongst us. I've talked to people who have had relationships with ETs, and one is ongoing. And I didn't know what to do with that, right? I mean, I did not. I was kind of taken aback. And when I interviewed this person, it's been years ago, but when I interviewed this person, she had a child, and she still the child did not live here. The child went with the father, and she still gets to see him. He comes to visit her. And I was like, okay, this is bizarre. I cannot tell people that I have a friend that does this. And then I thought, why would she not be honest with me? I'm not somebody that matters in that realm of her world. My opinion, is not something that she would lose sleep over. And so I was like, that's pretty amazing. If I can believe some of the other stuff that is put out there for the public consumption, why can't I believe this? I mean, I have seen craft. I do know they're there. I've not seen, to my knowledge, except for that beautiful young woman who was not fully alien. She was a hybrid. Um, you know, why can I not believe my friend? And so then I have another friend who is an lifelong experiencer. She worked with Bud Hopkins to get her memories to the fore. She's written a great book. I'll get her back on too. Her name is Deb, and you will love her. But I asked in a very, one-on-one conversation, I was like, and she did have a pregnancy also. And I asked, and I don't think anybody had ever asked, but I just said, have you ever seen your child? And she just kind of was like, I think I have, yeah. There was a little girl out of place, on the street behind my house, and she was kind of behind a car. And I saw her. And I do believe that was my child, because she was all of a sudden gone. And I can't believe you asked me that. I was like, well, I think that's cool. I mean, I'm so glad that you could. And, if we have all these UAP zipping around, doing all the things, they're here, they're there. I personally have seen one too, but would I have thought that they were out there had I not had one? Because my people told me that was a helicopter the first time. I knew better, but I still doubted myself. And then the one that was in that cloud that came through, I knew that. I mean, to the point that I was laying in a hammock on my deck and I looked over and I saw it. And I told the person on the phone with me, do not hang up. Absolutely not. Do not hang up. Just stay there. And because I did not want to have a lost time incident without somebody knowing about it. And I also figured that I probably wouldn't have a lost time incident if I was obviously communicating with someone. Do what you can to protect. And so I was just kind of cautious. But I do know people, I know so many people who have had lost time incidents, who have, buried memories, who have all kinds of experiences, good, bad, and different. I'm curious. I don't think I would mind having a respectful communication, but how can you know what you're going to get? I mean, there's so much possibility. And then I have another friend that I've interviewed that I think is just brilliant, Dolly Saffron, and you can listen to her. She does a show too, but she is, if you don't know, you're going to think I'm nuts, okay? But I believe her. She was an odd man out child. She met ETs and they felt for her. And she was actually very much an odd man out child. So they befriended her. And she started just kind of interacting with them. And they were like, well, what? Yeah. You know how you are with a kid that's just kind of needs somebody. Yeah. Well, what would you like to do? And she said, I want to fly your ship. And they were like, really? Really? And they taught her to do that. And so, does it sound like a bizarro conversation? Well, hell yeah, it is. I don't know anybody else that has had experience. I also know that she's really amazing and I trust her. I have interviewed her. I have broken bread with her. We have, gotten to hang out and chit chat, and I think she's brilliant. And she trusted me enough to come on with me. And I just really like her. So when she was telling me there's a book, in fact, um, everything's up in the air right now because I'm changing stuff around. So I'll find the book and I'll share it with you. And I'll see if I can get her back on because you'll love her. She's so cool. But her experience changed her life in a positive way. And I do not doubt her. I mean, I get told stuff by people much less trustworthy all the time. Okay. So it's interesting. And now that we're actually being told, oh, yeah, these things are real, this happens. We don't know where they're coming from, but the military's been interacting with them for years. You know, it doesn't look quite so crazy. All those people that, you know, were flipped out about the planes around the White House, the craft around the White House. And that was real. That was all over the news in that time period. And why is somebody else having a personal relationship with people that are flying those things any different than if the president at that time had not been afraid to walk out the door and say, hello, I'm glad you're here. Can you come talk to me? Instead of us putting aircraft up and I'm sure, you know, not being the welcome wagon, you know, it's just like in Independence Day, when we go up and we try to interact with the ships that are there. Those were not nice people, but you know, and they called the little craft that was going up to do the lights with them the welcome wagon. That one didn't work out so well. Doesn't mean they all won't, but I'm really hoping that they will let me back into that into those files, because even though, like I said, the website said third and fourth release, they're the same. They're the same files. In fact, let's go look at some of them because I was having fun. I love this stuff. Do you love this stuff? I do. So, where are my videos? That's music. Ah, we already did the China one, right? I'm going to do it again because it's so pretty. It's really short. It's only 16 seconds, but I love this. Does that look like it could go all over space? I mean, seriously, it does not. But I wouldn't mind taking it over some water. I think it's beautiful. Okay, and then this one. This is over the western US. And this is a this is an amazing to me. It's amazing because this is following almost 3 minutes. I don't know why they have all the blocks out there. I don't know why that kept on going and going. I hate when they put those little blocks up there, and I know there are reasons for it. It drives me crazy. I want all the information. Now, I have one. It is, it's a long one. It's like 5 minutes. What time is it? Okay, we have time. I'll do that one last. Or, because the rest are only like, one of them's 9 seconds, one of them's 10 seconds, and one of them's 49 seconds. So we'll do the 5 minute one because I think that if they're going to put them out there, we should see them, right? Let's see what happens with this. I do like that they do not put the crosshairs on it so they don't have a firing solution with that. So they don't trigger a reaction. This looks very different, but if you look down where that green dot is, that's where I think they think that it still is, and there is actually a little circle of light right above that. But up toward the top, there's something that kind of moves here and moves there. And this is over the China Sea. And this is 2025. And I don't know why it's locked down. So I don't see any movement again now. Do you, Carl? No. They saw something that brought them back there. But that was interesting. I think it was interesting. So I don't know why I'm stuck. I don't know what happened. So that one seemed like it caused me to be all kinds of stuck. And it wasn't in the most glamorous position either. That's okay. But, I really liked that the pilot saw it and then just took us swooping. I guess they were sitting. What on earth? So something is going all of a sudden. Maybe it's still from when I pissed off the AI. I don't know. It's the same computer. Now, I've got a couple of more short ones, and this one is an unresolved UAP report over the Gulf of America in 2029. I will tell you that beach people love that, Gulf of America thing. I don't get that. Okay. Those always look like they're like, good eye. I don't know. I think that they probably do feel like that. And this one is from the FBI. It's an FBI file, UAP, Northeastern US. And this is from 2005. It's a DoD file. And if you remember correctly, we had one almost exactly like that with 2 releases ago. And I remember it because of the color, because the sky was such a brilliant, beautiful blue. And then we had the red lights of the UAP going through. And they weren't moving, in my experience, they were not moving like helicopters. And I don't know, I think that's one of the most beautiful videos that we have. And I'm glad that they gave it to us because it's a big deal. And let's see. This last one is 30 seconds. That is not 30 seconds. That was a silly thing. This one is 10 seconds. And this is another unresolved report. This was over the Middle East. And I'm really surprised by how many files have been there, but there's a lot of activity there. There's a lot of dangerous activity. There's a lot of battles being fought. And this is actually from 2023. There was a lot happening then. And I do think, and I'm aware of a lot of activity that happens with when there is conflict. It's almost like they're like, look at those idiots. Yeah, what are they doing? And I feel like that too when I see it happen. I do know there are times you have to fight, but I think that it surprises them as much as it surprises us. But this is very short. It's like 10 seconds. Zip and zoom, right? We'll do that one again because I didn't expect that the first time I saw it, so I didn't get the full gist of what the shape was or anything. But here you go. And I think it looked like a tank, but I don't know a tank that moves like that. So, these are the ones that we have so far. And I'm not going to lie, I love every one of them. The ones that have the most bizarre shapes, I love those. I just absolutely, I don't know. I'm so excited that these files are out. I'm so excited that we have this happening in my lifetime. It's I think it's a real gift. And there's no reason that these could not have been released to us as they were coming in. I don't understand why people were so afraid to share this. We are warlike people. I mean, we are. We go to war on a bet. And I just think it's very odd. It's just, why did they decide now was the time? I think it was not just because Trump said, show them everything. They paid for it, which has always been my take on it. My tax dollars went to have these done. I think that it's getting to where they cannot deny it. And I think that there is going to be it was going to be revealed to us either way. Either we did it or they were going to do it. And I'm going to tell you that when they did it, like, in my own backyard, that was so weird because I know about this stuff. I have studied this stuff. I understand the interactions that I have heard of, that I've interviewed people that experienced. I have gone down rabbit hole after rabbit hole with my own research on this. And Fate Magazine was ground zero for getting this information out to the public. And a lot of times people, that didn't want to believe it laughed. There's not a lot of people laughing anymore. It's real. And so now we just have to figure out what's going on with it. And, be looking up, because there's stuff. And if you see something, say something. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me here. You can come into chat and private message me. You can message me on Facebook. You can email me, paranormalexperienced@gmail.com will get it to me. It's the name of my other show. And I'll listen and I'll talk with you if you want to know something that I might have researched or an experience that somebody I know has had. I'll be glad to discuss it with you or just listen to you. This is a big time and there's going to be some real changes. So check them out. And we will see you next week. Same cat time, same cat channel. Be blessed. Thank you. Good night.